Episode 23, Cherishing the Gift of Faith. Welcome to Reviving Your Soul, where Christians are finding the courage to embrace their faith in all aspects of their lives so they can stop being bored or overwhelmed and begin to live the life in fulfillment and in peace that God created them for. I'm your host, Vanna Johnson. Let's get started. The children were gathered around the pastor on the steps leading up to the altar. He was asking them what they cherished. As I sat there, I was thinking, I wonder if they even know what that means. I mean, really, does anyone use that word anymore? I've probably thought of it, much less used it, only a dozen times since back in the day when David Cassidy made it a household word with his song, Cherish. Pastor went on to show a recipe of his grandmother's that he cherishes. My mind quickly came back from the Partridge Family and started sorting through all the recipes that I have of my own grandmother's, still in their little metal box, written in her handwriting. Although I rarely use those recipes anymore, they are some of my most cherished possessions. We all cherish things in our lives, whether it is something someone gave us or a memory of a time or a season in our life. I cherish the memories I have of my grandmother and the gifts she brought to me from her travels throughout the country and abroad. In fact, I have a box full of those treasures, a leather purse from Mexico, a doll from Alaska, a necklace from Jerusalem. None of them really useful in my life now other than the memories of my first best friend. I cherish the belongings that were hers that I accumulated through the years, the hanky she gave to me, the Victrola her maiden aunt bought decades ago, the rocking chair that belonged to her father, and a shadow box of her belongings that my mother made for me almost 20 years ago. Ironically, my favorite treasure is a wooden set of Indian head salt and pepper shakers that she got at an auction, and she gave them to me when I was probably 4 or 5 years old. She kept them in her china cabinet until I was an adult, and I can still remember opening that china cabinet door and just holding they were about the size that would fit into my palm, but I would marvel at how precious they were to me. In truth, they really have no intrinsic value to the world, but to me, they are priceless. I cherish my family and the moments we spend together. There never seems to be enough time for that, but cherish the time regardless of what we do when we are together, especially when we can all be at home at the same time. I cherish books and the days when I can cuddle up with a warm blanket and savor every word. I especially love the ones that take me back, make me feel as though I'm in the scene with the characters. It doesn't matter if it makes me laugh or cry or cringe. I know it is an especially good book if it keeps me thinking for days or even weeks after I turn that last page. The older I get, the more I cherish the legacy that my parents and grandparents left for me. I appreciate the fact that they raised me to be independent and to think for myself. I am grateful that, although we had very little financially as I was growing up, I really did learn the value of $1 and what it means to work for one. I value education and the extreme importance of learning and growing our minds continually throughout our lives. I honor the knowing that it is far better to serve than be served, to love than be loved, and give than receive. As in most lessons in life, it wasn't until I had the opportunity to live those lessons firsthand that I really began to appreciate what each one of them means. More recently, I've learned to cherish my faith and what it means to have faith. For years, I've had a saying above my buffet that says, faith isn't believing God can, it's knowing that God will. I've thought about that a lot through the years and have, through a variety of trials and challenges, learned in different ways what that really means. I've spoken in past episodes about the belief that I have about my coaching practice and the trust that I have that I am on a path that God has chosen for me, and having absolute faith that it will be everything I can imagine when the time is right. It's been frustrating, discouraging, and some days downright defeating, but my faith has carried me through. Have you had moments where you have had to live in blind faith? Maybe it was a time when you put every ounce of effort you had into a project and simply had to sit back and wait and see if it would end in the result that you had planned. Or maybe you or someone you love has had a health scare and you suddenly realize how fragile life can be. Or worse, you've lost someone you love and cannot see how you will ever get your life back. In each one of these, and really in every scenario in life, you simply just take the next step and pray for God's guidance to get you through it. Life is so full of uncertainty. There is no guarantee that the work we do will get the results we hope for, that the steps we take will help us regain our health, or the grief we bear will ever completely go away. But if we turn to Christ, He will show us the way and give us the strength to do what is ours to do. If you've been to my website, you've seen that my tagline for my coaching and mentorship is living in courageous faith. Little did I know that when I chose those words, they would grow to be my mantra for every day. It really does take courage to take the next step sometimes, whether that next step is to make that call or to go to that meeting, both of which you know you need to do, but hell, it's hard sometimes. It also takes courage to ask others for help when we need to, or even to offer to help others when we are uncertain how they will respond, or if we're hesitant to interfere, if we'd be in the way if we helped. I had no way of knowing that God was preparing me for a time when I would live days on end under a cloud of uncertainty, a time when tests that were to bring clarity and answers only raised more questions. To be fair, I am still in the midst of uncertainty, but I feel compelled to share with you now, not for sympathy or concern, but to show you that it is possible to have peace in the storms of life, to courageously have faith that everything will turn out even before we have all the answers. I've said before that I feel this season is one where God has been building my character and helping me grow closer to Him. He's been testing and stretching my trust in Him, building muscle in my faith to prepare me for this time and whatever is to come. I am appreciating the irony that while I was focusing on issues surrounding my career and finances, God was preparing me for an even more important trial, one that focused on my health and well-being instead of the small change stuff that I was choosing to dwell on. I don't have time today to share every detail that helps me to have the faith in a short conversation like this, but I encourage you to go to the source. The scriptures are bursting with examples of everyday peoples whose body, mind, and spirits have been healed by their faith, and I believe that I have too. You see, when I lay in that hospital bed last month and learned that I was going to need surgery to remove a portion of my colon, I quickly started doing what I do. I researched what could be wrong and started searching for the different ways that I could change my life so I could heal it. I talked to others who had been in similar journeys to learn what they had done. Even though I was assured that it was very unlikely that I had cancer, I couldn't help contemplating what would I do if it indeed was. I researched healing cancer with diet. I weighed my options of what modifications I could make that would be healing to my body without completely giving up everything I love about my life as it is today. Then, last Sunday, as I listened to the sermon, I realized that this wasn't about me making drastic measures to change my life and heal myself. It was about doing what small changes I can make and following my intuition and trusting that God will take care of the rest. To fully rely on the fact that it is up to Him and not me. That peace that filled my soul was like something I've only felt a few times in my whole life. What a relief to realize that it wasn't up to me at all. I didn't need to find the perfect diet. I didn't need to do a ton more research. I just needed to take the next step. To make a long story not as long as it could be, the next step was to do testing. When the first test looked promising but not conclusive, the next step was to do more testing. Although I do not have a final answer yet, the preliminary answer is there's nothing there. Whatever we saw on that first scan in that hospital that first day is gone. There is no surgery to be needed, no major disruption to my life, no more researching what can be wrong and how to fix it. God answered my prayers and those of the many people who prayed on my behalf. I am grateful beyond words for the prayers and the resulting outcome. I don't intend to let this opportunity for learning slip past me, though, and I'm always listening to hear where the Holy Spirit is going to lead me next. And I believe this time it isn't a whisper, but rather a slap alongside the head. I had gotten lax about some of the habits that I know were important to maintain a healthy body, and I started to believe that maybe it didn't matter that much what I ate or drank. Am I going to clean up my act? You bet I am. Am I going to be militant about every little aspect of my life and my health? No, I don't really believe that that is necessary. Am I going to thank and praise God for His healing and the ability to help others through their challenges? Every day. Am I going to continue to seek His will for what is my next step? Always. Wrapping up today, I just want to share that I have many things that I cherish in my life, but without a doubt, the one thing that I cherish most is the gift of faith that I can carry through every aspect of my life and hopefully can help others to do the same. I feel blessed to be relieved of a weight that I have carried for this last month, but know that it was meant for good and not for harm. If I can help others to strengthen their faith in times of trouble, it will have been worth every moment of pain, uncertainty, and frustration. I want to thank you for listening today. I know that this got kind of long, and if you are still with me, I am especially grateful for you and hope that you are touched by my words. If you know of someone who might be encouraged by my story, please share this with them. I pray every day that the people who need to hear my message will find it. I know that the only way that can happen is if the people who do listen will care enough and have the courage to share it with others. If you are one of the many people in my life that even said one short prayer for me during this time, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. Go, be well, and have faith. And even if you are afraid, I promise that by living in courageous faith, you will find peace.